apne aap women worldwide. They are victims and survivors of prostitution, and some are at risk of being prostituted. The reason they are at risk for being prostituted is because they are the last girls. Not only are they poor, they are also female, they are also teenagers, and they are also very often in India low caste. In America they are black. In lots of parts of Latin America and Africa they are indigenous people. They are marginalized, they are poor, and they are neglected. Very often governments, policymakers, foundations tend to not even notice them. They are disposable people, and traffickers take advantage of their vulnerabilities caused by their race, their class, their caste, their gender, their age. They don't have access to schools, they don't have access to livelihood trainings, they don't have access to housing, sometimes they don't even have access to decisions over their own bodies. Very often they are between the ages of 9 and 13, and somebody else decides whether they are to go to school or stay at home to help with the chores, whether they are to be married or prostituted. All these decisions are taken for them by somebody else. When they should have a baby, when they should get married, whether they should study or not study. They are the last girls. And today I accept this award on behalf of those last girls who are at risk or who are prostituted in my country and in countries all over the world. And this opportunity to get this award during the CSW 59, 20 years after Beijing, is a huge opportunity for all of us from the NGO movement to put pressure on the United Nations women, because they have diluted many of the agendas set forth in the Beijing Platform for Action. The Beijing Platform for Action. 20 years ago, promised these last girls all the 12 core goals. But slowly over the years, they got caught in producing huge numbers of victories fast, and they began to neglect the last. They began to skim the top of the water. And so very often, they would not go to the 13-year-old in the brothel, or the 9-year-old living in a caste ghetto, where there was no school, no water, no electricity, and no criminal justice system. There was nobody to watch out for her when she was pulled out of school and put into a brothel. And what has happened subsequently is that as policies were created and as mechanisms were created to get the quickest reach the fastest, what happened was that this 9-year-old in this caste ghetto, or the 13-year-old in the brothel, or even the 19-year-old who grew up inside a brothel, was neglected. Nothing was created for her. There were helplines created called childlines, but this girl did not have access to a phone. There were laws created, but they were written in language that this girl could not understand. There were child welfare committees created, but they were too far away from the girl's purview. Schools were too far away for her to walk to. Her womanhood itself was neglected. And over the years, we came to a point when even her absence of choices and her survival strategies was recognized as an acceptable form of livelihood. And her sexual exploitation actually began to be called work in many UN documents. And to our horror, in 2013, there were 2 UN documents produced by United Nations AIDS Program and UNFPA, which said they called on countries to decriminalize pimping, decriminalize brothel keeping, and to decriminalize the advertisement of sexual services, saying that for many women and girls, their sexual exploitation or their prostitution was a choice. They failed to recognize the absence of choices of these last girls. And then, to change the language even more, to sterilize the exploitation out of it, they began to say that their sexual exploitation was sex work. Many of us NGOs wrote letters to UN Women as the champion inside the UN family to take up women and girls issues, to say they should talk to UN AIDS and to UNFPA and tell them that decriminalizing the sex industry, decriminalizing pimping and brothel keeping, and also the advertisement of the sale of sex would put more and more last girls in harm's way. And we had to not accept the exploitation, but instead we had to ask for government to put in more budgets, to invest in the last girl, to create more schools in her caste ghetto, to make sure she had access to housing, to legal protection, to justice. And today when I accept this award, I want to remind us all for a minute or two to think about that last girl, and when you go back to your member states, to your delegates, to anyone you know in UN Women, ask them to look at the note again and to take on board the voice of all of us who are part of the women's movement and struggles for women all over the world. You will only be standing by the last girl. Gandhiji once said that whenever we undertake any action, we must think about the impact of that action on the weakest person we know and how that action will help that weakest person we know regain control of our own destiny. By legitimizing the sex industry, we cannot help the weakest person we know regain control of her own destiny. In fact, we help her lose control of her destiny because she will be controlled by the pimps, the brothel keepers, the recruiters, the transporters, all the people who make money off her. In prostitution, you don't make more money as you grow older. And when we accept prostitution as sex work, we compromise on behalf of all women because we say that inherently exploitative livelihoods are okay for us. We do away with the struggles which led to us being here today. Let us not forget our future generations and let us fight for ourselves, and I accept this award on the behalf of all of us. Thank you very much.